Yo, what's up? Welcome into the Fantasy Executive Show. It's your boy Corey Parson, the Fantasy Executive, rocking with you right here on the digital airwaves of YouTube. New to the YouTube thing, you know what I'm saying? So help me grow, help me help you. Go ahead, hit that. I think you hit the subscribe button, and then you hit the like, and then you got the bell for notifications, all of that stuff. Let's get it out of there. Let's run these numbers up. Get ready to talk some fantasy football. We got a special guest today. Want to bring him in all the way from the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Out there doing big things at the NFL Network. Fire content only. My man, real deal fantasy, LaQuan Jones. LaQuan, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Corey? It's good to link with you, man. This is the first time for real.
No, for real, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely wanted to get this done for a while now. But, you know, the past couple years for you has kind of been, you know what I mean? I can imagine a little bit topsy-turvy, uprooting the family and moving from – you was in South Jersey or Philly?
I was in Central Jersey.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So,
right
okay. So you moved from Central Jersey all the way out, packed up the whole crew, and moved all the way out to the West Coast. So how things going out there so far?
It's good, man. Work is good. I mean, wifey's happy. She got her work. She got her work going, and the kids, they loving this sunshine, beach every weekend type vibe. So, everything copacetic right now.
That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? I'll ask you some other questions and stuff as we move along. But let's hop in and talk some football real quick. I know you're a Rams guy. I don't see how Central Jersey dude ends up being a Ram fan, but you're a Rams guy. You know what I'm saying? Even though despite growing up in the territory of NFC East powers, New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles, once
in the trenches,
NFC powerhouse. Yeah, you was definitely in their neck of the woods. You know what I'm saying? And you come out there with that Rams action. I could imagine that might have been pretty tough when it wasn't it wasn't but you had some good times when you had the greatest show on turf though.
Yeah, that's what kind of got me into watching football, period. Because I don't know if you know, but soccer is my first love. Like I played soccer and I watched soccer since a youngin'. So like when I started like trying to get other sports like basketball, like Celtics, I became a Celtics fan because of my stepdad though. But football, I was just like, damn, who Marshall Faulk? Who Torrey Holt? Who Isaac Bruce? Like, who are these dogs? And I'm like, oh, okay. This is my team. I'm rocking with them. And then they end up winning the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, it's a dub. Yeah.
Great Mike Super Bowl, too. You know what I'm saying? Mike Jones with that tackle. I am a big supporter, rest his soul, of my man Steve McNair. I think Steve McNair should be posthumously voted into the NFL Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up. I'm down here in South Carolina. I went to an HBCU. So when I was in college, Steve McNair was at Alcorn State. Okay. And it was so lit that the games would be on BET. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah, exactly. No. So I was always been a McNair fan, you know what I'm saying, since that, you know what I mean? And, obviously the unfortunate ending to his life. But let's talk a little Rams. Bro, I swear. The training camps open up, they put the pads on, and Cooper Kupp go on. Cooper Kupp, just like that, Cooper Kupp. Now, is it a buying opportunity in drafts with Kupp, or is it I'm not sure if he's going to be healthy.
I think he falls on the back end of the first round now. I mean, me personally, I was taking him one-on-one. That's my guy. I ride with him no matter what. I seen him bounce back from injury before, worse injury, matter of fact, coming back and being a top 5 wide receiver. With this hamstring early in the camp, we know hamstrings linger. I mean, this might turn into a Keenan Allen situation that we saw last year where Allen came in with a hamstring injury, played a couple games, and then he was out about 6, But, once Keenan Allen came back week 11, though, he showed the NFL he was still him. So this might be one of those situations on, like, this hamstring might linger, so he might fall on that back end of the first round where you still might get that good value on the upside of him being, that guy still.
The back of the first round value for Cooper Kupp is tremendous. And I think you take that risk because if you can come out of a draft 2 rounds deep, Kupp, Adams, I'm like, all right, I can figure it out at running back from there.
You can get Kupp, you can get Olave, you can get Kupp, you can get Garrett Wilson, you can get Kupp, AJ Brown. That set right there on that back end on that turn. Yeah, that's like an elite wide receiver set right there. You good.
Would you even fool with one of those running backs there? Say you in the draft this weekend, you take Kupp at 111, you come back at 2-2, and Saquon is there.
Saquon paid now, so I've been fading the second round running backs, to be honest. Like, if I'm gonna go running back, it got to be the first round. It got to be Bijan. It got
So
to be
interesting.
yeah. I don't know, man. Them wide receivers in the second round is some dogs in there, and then you can mess around and get a Keenan Allen in the third. You see what I'm saying? So you can go running back, wide receiver, wide receiver. Your team is already set. That's 30% of your points week to week with elite guys, alphas in the offenses. So that's kind of how I've been running it on the back end of July going into August with these redrafts.
That's interesting. I was talking with Adam Ronis yesterday, and he said he was fading first round running backs and jumping in to get the running backs in the second round. The Nick Chubb, the Tony Pollard, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you reverse. You like it. You like those first round backs.
Yeah, I like those first round backs, man. Bijan, man, he's gonna be a problem, man. I know everybody overreacting over him with that linebacker. Then the next day we see him cut that same linebacker up. Like, I'm all in on Bijan, but in the top 3, top 4 picks, I've been seeing some people getting a little cute with it. But 6, 7, right there in that middle of the rounds, you can get a Bijan right there, unless guys want to get cute in those first 3 picks. But
would you make him the first running back off the board?
The first running back on the board? No, it's CMC still, man. He's still up there. There's no way you're gonna fade CMC as the first running back off the board. He could be the second or third. I don't know who you put in at the second. I mean, Nick Chubb might have a big year too, man. I mean, a lot of people getting him towards that 110, and it's like he about to go crazy. If he get more involved in that passing game, it's gonna be a problem.
Nick Chubb is the best pure running back in football. Yeah. He doesn't give you the 9-8 yards of reception like Christian McCaffrey's and all of that. Let me tell you something crazy. I mean, you ask most people who's the best college football player ever, and they'll either say something like Reggie Bush, Tim Tebow, but a certain generation of people is going to be like Herschel Walker, and it's no debate. Nick Chubb tore his ACL, played with Todd Gurley, played with Sony Michel, and almost still was putting up Herschel Walker type numbers.
Dog, man, that's what it is. It's some players that you just see that just have that grind in them, man. And it's like he's the best pure runner in the draft. So getting him, you're set right there at running back. I wouldn't touch another running back until you get to that 4th round, 5th round, where the Cam Akers, Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones. Yeah, another person that's fallen.
It seems like this value at running back this year. Yeah. It seems like a lot of people are scooping up these receivers early, getting into that value at running back. You know what I'm saying? I want to ask you about another running back late. You talk about Rams camp. What's up with your man Cam Akers? We've been doing the Cam Akers. I'm out. I'm done. If it happens this year, it's gonna happen on somebody else's team.
Nah, I'm in on Akers this season, because last season, man, I was tooting that horn around the Super Bowl. I was like, look, man, he came back. I love the story. I love the bounce back. I love the dog in him, but he wasn't it. That 2.6 yards per carry, that tells you a lot. Last season came in, he wanted to be the guy. He wasn't healthy. So you have to share that backfield. So with all those red flags going into the season last year, he shouldn't have even been touched in the first 4 or 5 rounds. He should have just fell to the 7, 8. So now we're back. He's healthy. He's full focal point of the offense from Sean McVay. Because Sean McVay, if people recognize his habits, he usually go in the camp. He's like, I got 2 running backs. I got basically 2 RB1s, what he said last season about Darrell Henderson. He's usually unsure, but this early in July, he talking about Cam Akers the focal point. It looked like that dog going to eat this year, man. I feel like you getting him in that 5th round, that's an RB2, and you getting most of that red zone work. I think, Sony Michel retired, but they brought in Royce Freeman. He might get some goal line, but I look at him as a Malcolm Brown. He's going to be out there blocking. You know what I mean? So Cam Akers, the sky's the limit. You got Michael LaFleur at offensive coordinator as well. If you look at his history since San Fran, when he puts his little touch on that offense, running back units, they average 7.6 targets per game. That has never been heard of in the McVay's offense since 2017 with Gurley. So we got to look at what Sean McVay's doing. He's trying to keep Matthew Stafford up. He's trying to check the ball down quickly. That O-line is still a little shaky. Young guys on there, but I think we should be fine. You got to get the quick passes out. Cooper Kupp dealing with injury as well. We got to remember, we got young, undeveloped wide receivers behind Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson just needs to stay healthy. So you need somebody else who's going to step up to bail out Matthew Stafford, and I think that's Cam Akers.
It's interesting, and we're going to talk some game script and how you apply game script to fantasy. Obviously, the Rams one of the lower totals in the NFC. And the NFC is just a conference of lower totals. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's obviously not the power conference right now. So with Akers, you don't worry about game script if the Rams are behind him not being able to run the ball and pound that rock at the end, or do you think the dump downs is where the fantasy points is at?
This is what we saw with the Jets last year, where Breece Hall and Michael Carter, believe it or not, when they were down, they checked down crazy to both of them. There was games where Michael Carter had 5 targets, he had 4 catches. You had Breece Hall 7 targets, 6 catches for 50 yards. Like, we can do that on top of him still getting the ball 10 to 12 times a game. And you got Kyron Williams there as well, who's good, very good at pass blocker. He's definitely going to get involved as well. So just the opportunity to get these running backs involved and rotating them out in the pass game, I think you'll see enough points week to week with Cam Akers, even if this defense, young, talented, high flyers, but I think this defense is going to struggle a lot. So therefore, there's going to be a lot of games where it got to keep throwing it. So I feel like, you got the running back unit that's going to get involved in the pass game. Even if it is game script, you still have opportunity to have Cam Akers put up some points.
You got one of my South Carolina State alumni out there, Jacoby Durant.
Oh man, he's a dog, man. I went to camp, man. He's a hot boy. I'm telling you, he gonna be making some plays out there, and he got Jalen Ramsey with the cosign. So definitely a player to look out for on the defense.
No doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. Speaking of Rams camp and what's going on out there, until you asked you about Durant, and so I'm curious, how did Stetson Bennett look?
Stetson Bennett is making some plays, man. I mean, I feel like they're not opening him up completely, and plus there was no pads that day. Now with the pads on, we're seeing reports that he's throwing dimes. I think he's like getting groomed to be the guy if Stafford gets down again. I think this will be a guy that is a McVay guy. The football IQ got to be there. It can't be another Jared Goff situation. So if he's stepping up in camp this early, McVay just gonna let him go. He's just gonna open up the playbook and just let's see what he could do. And camp wise, the reports are basically saying like he's coming out of the huddle on time. He's not making like little silly mistakes, false starts, etc., like that. So he has the basics down to be the starting quarterback. So that's good. I just want to see him keep getting these reps.
You know what was so interesting, right? Coming into the draft, right? Everybody was like, "Oh, son might not even get drafted. If so, he might be irrelevant." And I'm like, okay, this dude just won back-to-back national championships.
He's a winner. Why? He's a winner.
And I'm like, why? And they was like, well, his size. The dude that went 1-1 is 5'6". What are you talking about? His size. Then they say, oh, well, his age. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, which is the size or the age? Or he doesn't fit the prototypical. You know what I mean? Like, I think Bennett can play.
He could play. He has that winner mentality. Like you said, he has the resume of winning. And Sean McVay, you get the cosign from Stafford, man, another Bulldog. Like you're right. You're gonna be in a good position, man.
No doubt about it. So many people are into what I call suspension porn, right? Where like I remember last summer with Deshaun Watson, the judge made her ruling. Oh no, the NFL got to step in and yada yada yada. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then he gets a longer suspension. Even this past year with Ja get 25 games. I heard somebody say, I'm done with this sport. Wow, because the dude wasn't suspended the whole season.
Yeah.
Now I see people saying, oh, Alvin Kamara needs to get 6 games. Well, I'm like, that seems a lot for.
You've seen the video, right?
I seen the video,
right? That's 6 games worth. Come on now.
I don't think that's 6 games. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, we don't know led to, like, you see a piece of a video, you don't know what happened before that.
You don't. And we know how I go down. You get talking that hot stuff because you know who I am and trying to get me up, try to get me amped, and then I react, and then you get in this situation.
And then, exactly. And then I got to cut you a check. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when you could have been the one out of pocket in the first place.
Pocket talking crazy.
So I know he's up there visiting with Goodell, and they're trying to figure that out. I guess you really don't know how to react until you see the suspension. But what's your vibe on Kamara going into the season? And also, you as a Ram fan, when all of this talk about the running backs not getting paid was happening, I know you probably was like, hey, we paid ours. And it didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to say, you got to look at the Zeke's contract. You got to look at Gurley's contract, man. I mean, when we paid Gurley, I kind of was scratching my head. I'm like, we saw that same Eagles game when he got tackled on the sideline. That's when that arthritis, that knee just kicked in and it was out. After that, he wasn't the same. And in the Super Bowl, that clearly showed he wasn't Todd Gurley anymore. And then we paid him. I'm just like, kind of questionable. And I feel like the league right now is moving in a direction where they think they can rotate generational talent. I mean, you're not about to treat JT like he just some other third string running back. You got to
Yeah.
pay that man, and especially with a young quarterback like with AR-15, you gotta have that security at the run game, at least with a prime elite running back. And you look at Josh Jacobs, the man held the title last year for the rushing title. And he get offered a franchise tag. Like, what are we
Well, I
doing, bro?
heard Jacobs. I don't know how true this is, but I heard Jacobs turned down a $12 million annual deal.
I
Now
would
I
too.
don't know how that true that is. You would turn that down too when the top
I
when
would
the
too.
top running back make 13, 14.
Listen, do you know who's that quarterback right now? He ain't launching it to Adams like we want him to. Short yardage game about to be crazy. And you got a running back that can do it all. Pay him whatever the hell he wants. Because y'all not going to win 6 games with Jimmy G and Adams frustrated because he can't get the ball more than 20 yards. It just is what it is. You have to pay your running back because he's going to be the workhorse. He's going to be bailing out your quarterback when you need that first down, when you need that goal line carry, when you need a bailout because the pressure coming to the right to you, dump it off to Jacobs. We've seen him take it to the house. So it's these running backs, you got to pay them, man. I don't understand what the fuss is. They got to change it up.
Kamara got paid. What do you think about him coming into this season?
Yeah, so going into the season with Alvin Kamara, I mean, I feel like with the suspension, we don't know. They could give him 6. They could give him 2. Either way, you're drafting him in that 8th, 9th round where you're getting your RB3, RB4 at this point. I'll take that all day. But you just need to have your expectations correct and have, the guys that you have at your RB1 and 2 reliable guys, not guys that are looking for upside. You need guys that are set in stone just in case Alvin Kamara get hit with 6 to 8 games off some crazy shit. So you have a bailout. And then your RB4 is probably somebody that's probably not even going to see the field most weeks, or it's in timeshare. So I feel like if you do take a shot on him, you're taking a shot on the guy that has a quarterback that is capable to manage the game. You have 2 wide receivers actually in Michael Thomas and Chris Olave that can move the ball downfield. So I feel as though if he comes in at week 6, week 7, whatever, how many suspension games, you looking at mid-season to where he's fresh, he's healthy, he about to turn up, because I could see the Saints winning a couple games and not be like completely ass, but I feel like he gonna come in hot, and then you're gonna be looking at 3R running backs that are elite that should be going in the top 10. So that's, it's like, come on, man.
How do you approach these type of things, right? Some years you say, okay, well, this guy's going to be out this amount of games. Let me build the team this way, and then if he's available, I can stash him on my bench. My thing is, I seem like I'm always cutting that guy before he gets on the field. Like you're waiting on this player, this stashing cash, and it don't happen.
So it really depends on the player. So how we talking about Alvin Kamara, and then we talk about Jameson Williams. I'm not drafting Jameson Williams. I don't know what he's coming into because they have reliable wide receivers there. Amon-Ra's the guy. They got a tight end, Sam Laporta, that's apparently doing good in camp. I mean, he's got an ankle injury right now. So that's 2 targets right there. And then you got Gibbs, and that's the 3rd target right there. I mean, those targets are going to cut thin. He's going to end up a one-trick pony to where he's making these big plays downfield, but he's coming in. I don't remember how many games he's suspended, but I'm not drafting a guy like that that's coming into where there's too many mouths to feed. Alvin Kamara, he's a guy. There's Zeke, when he got suspended, he's the guy. You know what I mean? So that's how I approach suspension or whatever the case may be.
I was stalking your timeline and I saw a couple of interesting takes that you had on a couple players. This Marquise Brown targets. Interesting. It's a game script thing, really, because if they got a 4.5 win total, you expect them to be losing. Then you could see Marquise Brown was off of my radar until I saw that on your timeline.
He's about to get fed, man, and it's going to be a situation where you're going to be looking at him like he's going to have 10 targets, maybe 6 catches, but he's going to have like 80 yards because he's a big playmaker, man, and he's healthy this year. If he stays healthy, he could see that 130, 140 targets because there's really nobody else. Like I'm not knocking out the rookie Michael Wilson, I think his name is, or Wilson, right? But I'm not knocking him. But this is a young guy. It's a rookie. We don't know much about him. We're not hearing that much in camp. The rookies make plays here and there. We see the clips, but we need consistent plays. We need consistent time and reps on the field. So this preseason, you got to keep an eye on him, but there's really nobody else. Trey McBride, maybe. I mean, I feel like he's a late round guy, but Zach Ertz might get cut. He doesn't look like he's 100% healthy. So who else you throwing the ball to at this point?
Let's go to another dude I seen this time different. I said to myself, I think Alexander Madison is like bell cowish this year. I'm not going to say he's a bell cow, but I see bell cow things about Alexander Madison. And you don't feel that way, do you?
I feel like this offense may go in a different direction. I don't think they're going to run the ball that much. They're not going to run the ball that much as they ran with Dalvin Cook. And I don't think they're confident with their depth chart. I don't feel as though, they have a confident running back depth chart to where they could just ride him. And if he gets hurt, you're looking at young guys behind him where it's like, you don't want to run him to the ground. So I'm looking at a timeshare here to where you're going to see that young guy they just drafted, where you're going to see him have probably like a 60-40 split some games where they might get cut 3 ways at some point. But I think this team, they're going to be throwing the ball a ton, man. I mean, I could see the Vikings being like a top 7 team in pass attempts this year. And I feel like with Dalvin Cook gone, you kind of change the whole script. Like, all right, he's out of the way. We don't have to feed him that much. We're not paying a running back $10 million, $12 million. We have Alexander Madison for the cheap. How about we keep him healthy and rotate this lineup? Or they could have, look, Leonard Fournette still out there. Kareem Hunt still out there. Zeke's still out there. These visits are happening. So it's still early in August. We in what, 3rd day in August? You never know.
Still plenty of time left. Let me ask you, just stick on Madison right quick. I'm going to ask you a couple either or. Madison or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Madison or J.K. Dobbins?
Madison.
Interesting. Madison or Pierce?
Dameon Pierce. Give me demon time, baby.
You love Dameon Pierce. You're a Dameon Pierce guy. Madison or Montgomery?
Ooh.
That one is tough, isn't it?
It's only tough because I don't know Monty's role 100%. Is he taking the Jamal Williams role where he's just going to be red zone usage? Like, I don't see him catching passes as much as he did in Chicago because he's actually top 10 in targets. I don't think people really realize that among the running backs. So I'm not too sure of his role over there. So I might go Madison just to play it safe.
Interesting stuff. And where are you at on DeAndre Swift?
Oh, Swift. Eagles are interesting because you got Penny over there, man. We love Penny, man.
That's the thing, yo, son. Penny runs like a madman. Like when Penny is healthy and he's toting that thing, he can carry the mail, bro.
He running like he trying to make the team, man. So that's tough. That's really tough because Swift could be used out the backfield more often as like a pass catcher, but I still might go Madison here over Swift, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. The thing with Penny is Penny would be, if this was flag football, Penny would be a top.
That boy would be Jim Brown, Bo Jackson.
If this was flag football, Sean Penny would rewrite the record book. You know what I'm saying? Before you hopped on here today, you was I guess back in your neck of the woods out there on the East Coast, and you were doing something that I find pretty cool. I did it one year myself. I did it at my old high school, St. Raymond's High School for Boys in the Bronx, New York. And I did career day, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And obviously being in the media for a little bit and stuff like that, the kids found it very interesting. Yeah. Now I was scheduled to do my daughter's when she was in the 5th grade, but that was the COVID year. So it got canceled. It was right in that COVID window, you know what I'm saying? But I saw where you went career day, went and spoke at a school back in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, in Philly. Yep.
Yo, son, isn't that such a special feeling?
No, it is. It is definitely a special feeling. And those kids were amazing, man. I mean, they all were listening to what I had to say. I was basically there trying to inspire some kids, man, to show them like, look, it don't matter what you look outside. Like your situation might look like it's rugged. It might look wicked. You know, your home life might not be the best situation. You might not have the best support system, which I fall in some of those categories to where it's like, you can still make it if you focus, if you put your passion into something that you really care about, and leave all that outside noise outside. Like you just got to lock in and focus and don't doubt yourself. Don't listen to other people doubting you. You might not have the best support system, but you have your teachers, you have other adults that you could look up to. If you have uncles or whatever the case may be. I had my uncle as my male role model growing up. So I had to really learn from him, but I'm also setting examples that I didn't have set for me, for my son. So it's like, I wanted to get in their head and see, you know, where some of these kids are at and some of their situations at home. But ultimately, look, It sounds cheesy, man. Follow your dreams, man. Anything can come true, and the power of your words are so powerful when you speak to the universe, because the universe is going to speak back to you, man.
No doubt, and you're a testament to that. You know what I'm saying? A couple years ago, you didn't think you'd be out on the West Coast working at the NFL Network, did you?
No, that wasn't in the cards, man. And it kind of fell on my lap, really, man. And I got to thank, a lot of people in the fantasy space, especially you, man, the OG of this, man. You definitely one of the ones why I
Thank you,
got
sir.
into this
Appreciate
with the
that. You know
fantasy
what I'm
frenzy.
saying?
You know what I mean? Back in the day. But I definitely shot my shot, man. Shoot, man. 2 a.m. on a random weekday, I just applied, and it came back. So that's a blessing, man. And I feel like the work I put in, somebody saw it, somebody got some word of it, and they kind of brung me on, man, because they see the passion, they see the hunger in me, and I stay hungry, man.
No doubt. Shout out to the crew over there, my man Mike Florio, who I saw back
Yeah.
before when he was, when he was younger than you was, working with Mike Florio. And then obviously my guy Marcus Grant, he's been doing it for a long time out there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get up with all those boys next weekend in Canton. You gonna be out there?
Yeah, you know it, boy. Yeah, we got a link. We got a link, man.
No
Definitely.
doubt. So we'll have a good time out there. All right, let's get ready to hit it right. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of second-year players before we get you up out of here. And I guess we can start at the top, man. These two wide receivers, man. Ohio State is building like a wide receiver dynasty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you got, not only do you got Olave and Wilson, who we're about to speak about, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. on the way, and you got Jackson Smith and Jigba getting ready to get busy out there in Seattle. But talk about Olave and Wilson. These are what, second, third round guys for you, top of the draft wide receiver ones?
Look, first and second round, you tell me, man, because Olave is going to smash that wide receiver 12 ADP. First of all, he got it. Like, you got to understand, he was third in 20+ yard targets last season, and that's with Andy Dalton. And I think someone Winston, but probably like 2 or 3. But you got a guy who has a upgrade at the quarterback position with Derek Carr, and we know Derek Carr is very good at that long ball, and that's why Adams was able to eat the way he was able to eat. And I feel like now you got Chris Olave, that's an all-around wide receiver. And he's coming in as the guy. Michael Thomas is still there, but we haven't seen him in 2 years. So I'm not even really going to get into him. We don't know if he lost a step. We don't know if he's still that same guy before. So Olave, to me, is the number one. And, man, with Derek Carr, that's magic. We about to see something really special over there. And when Alvin Kamara come back, this could be a winning team, man, for real.
Listen, I don't trust the head coach, to be honest with you. I think he's a liability. But I definitely can see
decision making.
In that division that they're in, that it could be interesting.
It's up for grabs, though. It's up for grabs. That division's up for grabs, and I think
I like Carolina.
They can make something work. Them in Carolina, they can make something work out. Atlanta, I'm still. I got to see something.
Yeah, I got to see something too. What about Ken Walker?
Ken Walker, man. See, he's hurt right now. So I can't really speak on him, drafting him at ADP, because we don't know if this man can stay healthy. And Zach Charbonnet is dealing with a shoulder right now. And we seen him average like 6.0 yards per carry in college last year. So it's like, man, these two running backs, I think this is the 1-2 punch that Pete Carroll wants. So this might be the split that he's always wanted to have with the Chris Carson and when Kenneth Walker came over, Chris Carson was that guy, the underrated running back over there.
He definitely was. Everybody out there can run if they can stay healthy.
Yeah. So Pete Carroll's been trying to get this 1-2 punch for years, and I think he finally got it. But if both of these dogs is hurt, we just don't know what the season's going to look like for the long ball, So I can't see myself drafting Walker just with the situation with Zach Charbonnet and also with the injury history right now that's going on.
What's up with Sky Moore?
Sky Moore, man, it's getting dark for him for real, because I wanted him to pop off last season. I wanted him to just grab opportunity, get the reps. I figured he would be a guy that would show up in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But that didn't shake out that way. But you got Richie James over there, man. You got Rice over there, and McHolmes like spreading that ball around. And we know Kelsey is still the guy.
He's the man.
I just don't know a week-to-week value you're going to get out of Sky Moore. It's tough, man. It's really tough.
You know who I'm digging coming into this season? James Cook. I like James Cook a lot. You know what I mean? I think what he can do in the passing game is going to be interesting. Where are you at on James Cook? Nobody really – he's in that running back take a shot range. Somebody's going to come out that 6-7 round group that's going to be like a league winner. Can it be James Cook, or is it not enough there for him?
So for my roster, he has to be my RB3, RB4. There's no way I'm taking a shot on him as my RB2.
No
So
doubt.
I feel as though the opportunity is there for him to get involved in that passing game. I feel as though, he's a great with the ball in his hands. He can make the plays. It's explosive. And I feel like you have Damian Harris there, but excuse me, I think we know his role. I think we kind of know that he's going to be the ground and pounder. He's going to be the pure runner there. But when it comes to dumping it off, I think the Buffalo Bills might switch it up and start doing a lot of checkdowns for Josh Allen because he's not really known for doing that. But
Yeah,
when
he's
you
not.
have the talent as James Cook back there, and then you sign, like I just didn't understand the signing to begin with. You should have just let Cook be the guy. But I feel as though they have a set plan for him. I think we might see a lot of routes ran for him this year, which will create more opportunity for him. And I think Josh Allen, man, he look, it's been so many years this dude's been running wild. And all they needed was a running back so he can preserve himself from hurdling over dudes,
Yeah,
jumping all crazy.
he's their best runner, pound for pound. He's their
Yes.
best runner.
So he's like really the RB1, but now they need to make this playoff run, man. They need to switch it up because what they've been doing haven't been working. So they need
No,
to
they
do
haven't.
something.
Such a fascinating team coming into the season.
Yeah.
That Buffalo Bills group. What about Drake London? Showed some flashes last year. Seems like he gets a lot of targets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could be interesting. I'm going to have some Drake London probably in that wide receiver 3 range on a couple teams, depending on how I build them. Our boy Lawrence Jackson, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Can you do something for me? But Drake London, I think, can actually do something for me.
Yeah. I look, man, if you would have asked me this in June, I would I feel no way about him. But I feel as though now with Ritter, he's starting to step up in camp a little bit. We saw a couple plays that didn't pan out, but they're gonna have to throw the ball, man. They're gonna throw the ball more than they did with Mariota, and those targets got to go somewhere. And I think Drake London or like a DJ Moore, those two, yeah, I can see as my low end wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s on my rosters. But we got to remember this is a run first offense, and we know they're going to run the piss out of the ball. And that indicated when they took Bijan Robinson. You know what I mean? So Drake London could still have like 120 targets. He can have like 80 to 90 catches. That's pretty solid. And we need to see this red zone. The Falcons' red zone need to increase, man. They need to find a way to get the ball in somebody's hands in the end zone. Either it's Pitts, London, somebody, man. Because if he's not getting touchdowns, I don't know if he's going to be like that good pick at the wide receiver 3 for you.
What about Kenny Pickett? I mean, not Kenny Pickett. The guy Kenny Pickett's throwing the ball to George Pickens. Mr. Preseason highlight tape. The preseason highlight mixtape is crazy. And yes, that was an offensive pass to the field.
Mr. OPI, I'm gonna call him. We might see a lot of that this season, but he playing. I like players like him, man. That talk their stuff and they got that dog in them. But I feel as though the separation issue is going to play a factor on a long ball game. You know what I mean? Because he had 800 plus yards last year, but come on, man. We already know who the alpha is over there with the target. Is Deontay Johnson, man. He
no doubt
the crispiest route runner they got on the team. So I feel as though targets are earned. If he can't earn that separation, he can't earn them targets. A lot of those situations, either Deontay Johnson ain't open or you're just going to take the shot down to Pickens. You see what happens. So it's a 50-50 ball. Contested catches are phenomenal out of the roof. But you ain't going to have Kenny Pickett, a second-year guy, trying to make a step, trying to show that he could be the guy taking these chances. You know what I mean? Like last season was kind of a wash. So a lot of those throws were kind of questionable, but some of them hit, some of them didn't. You know what I mean? He already knew what the season was. So I feel as though this year he's coming in as the guy, as the QB1. He's not going to be taking those shots and playing those risky money balls like he did last season.
You taking a shot on Breece Hall this year?
No, absolutely not.
0.
And that was, I want to say in June, I was saying this because with Mike LaFleur over in the Rams, he's not going to see those targets he saw last season. You got Aaron Rodgers over there. I feel as though he's going to want to give the ball to his guys and play a lot with Garrett Wilson. And, with them bringing in Dalvin Cook, I kind of felt as though that was going to happen. I don't know if he's going to sign or not. He's still playing between teams because there's like 2 other teams that want him too. So it's like, I don't feel as though he's like healthy 100%. This feels like a Javonte Williams situation where you have to slow ball him. So I feel like the first 4 weeks, we might not see the Breece Hall we like. Maybe week 5, 6, 7 in the middle of the season. Okay, he's starting to pick up. And then he might come around in the playoffs. But where his ADP is right now, that doesn't tell me that. That tells me that he's healthy 100%, the RB1, ready to go. And I don't think I'm ready to pay that price.
I think he's going to be an interesting player this draft season. I agree with a lot of things you said right there. You know who I think Dalvin Cook not could, because I haven't heard them mention, but a place where he could be used, and I don't think he would get in anybody's way, is in DC with the Commanders. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying? That
hey,
would be a
yeah.
nice spot for Dalvin Cook. He could help that offense out a lot. But they do have the Brian Robinson dude. And I'm like, my eyes say Antonio Gibson's better than him. But they keep
Yeah.
giving the ball to Brian Robinson.
If you and here's the thing too with that situation, man. It's like we know Gibson can play outside. He can get the ball in his hands. He can get involved in the passing game, but we're just not seeing it as much. Hopefully this year with JD McKissick out, we could see Gibson get more involved in that role. Robinson, man, he's a pure runner. He's another guy that can break it off, another 10-yard run, two every game type guy. But the problem is when they get to the red zone, they literally split the duty in half. Like if you look at the numbers and the rushing attempts and the opportunities, literally right in half. So they don't even know who they want in that red zone duty. They don't even know who they want inside the 10. So that's an issue for me when it comes to drafting either one of them because we want touchdowns from these guys. So you're going to lean towards Gibson because he has the PPR upside. But Robinson there, man, he's still that pure runner that could bust off 20, bust off 40, take it to the house. So it's a nasty situation over. But like you said, if Cook come over there, he ain't getting in nobody's way, really. But Robinson, he definitely would take the back seat, though.
Yeah, no doubt. A couple of young backs. A couple of backs lower down on the draft board. Some Malik Davis might not even be getting drafted, and then Jalen Warren. I like Davis a lot. I'm telling you, I think Davis is going to be a guy that people are going to be picking up early in the season.
And he got some tape too.
Huh?
He got some tape too.
Yeah. And what do you think about Jalen Warren?
So Warren, he's getting the camp hype. He's getting the coach speaking right now. He showed flashes last season. If he stays cheap, he's on my team. I mean, I feel as though you get guys like that, they could pop off any week if, Harris ends up going down or if he tweaks something. I feel as though they want to get him involved on the field because I don't think, Najee's going to see 300 touches this season. He might be in the low 220s maybe, but you're still going to have Warren to have those weeks that can have the opportunity to get involved as well and make some plays and put some points on the board.
This is the last one I'm going to ask you about. He's going on the 4-5 turn. Christian Watson.
Oh, God. I'm laughing because fantasy Twitter got this man acting like he got Tom Brady throwing to him or something, man.
The comparison I heard was Randy Moss.
See, listen, man. We got to stop this, man. Because I feel as though people are just getting hyped with last year numbers. Yes, he is the most talented wide receiver they have on that roster. But hear me out. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing to him. We don't know what Jordan Love is. We have question marks there. We've seen small itsy bits of him, but the organization has been telling us we're not sure about him. So if they're not sure about him for X amount of years and now he's the guy, it kind of looked like the situation they just wanted to get away from Aaron Rodgers. Like, hey, you're the guy now. So I'm very cautious with any of those players outside of Aaron Jones on their offense. Romeo Doubs is a guy you can grab later. I mean, listen, what's the other guy's name? Oh, man. They just drafted him this year. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. He's another guy that's there that's going to try to step up and be the guy. Watson is their clear number one. We just don't know if Jordan Love's going to be able to get him the ball every single game. So it's like, I'm not drafting a guy that high. This feels like a Gabe Davis situation when he was going in the first 5 rounds. Like, what are we doing?
I fell for that last year.
A lot of people did, man. You're not even the only one. So it's just like, I don't understand how this guy's getting that hype with so many red flags and question marks. There's a lot that we don't know. He's talented. Like, I go back to Kyle Pitts. My issue is not with Kyle Pitts' talent. He is a generational tight end. I believe in it. But who's throwing him the ball? Whose offense is he in? You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations, man, I chalk it up to where I feel no way, and I just let somebody else, deal with that headache.
LaQuan Jones, you see the Twitter handle right there. Excuse me, the X handle at Real Deal Fantasy. Hey, my brother, you're doing your thing, man. Definitely appreciate you hopping on and listen. I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? And remember somebody told me this a long time ago. I ran into somebody. I was in a line at Olive Garden right there on 125th Street. And this dude walked up to me and it was like, yo, you're the fantasy executive. I was like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he said to me, people are watching you. And I want to say that to you. People are watching you. So keep doing your thing, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, man. I definitely want to run it back, man. You got to have me back up here.
No doubt. We'll do that when the season gets started. All right. For my man, don't forget, everybody hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Get the kids, followers up right here on YouTube. And if you're just meeting at Real Deal Fantasy LaQuan, give him a follow over there on X or Twitter or whatever it's called. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And make sure you check out his work at the NFL Network, because pretty soon that's going to be his shop. And you're going to be like, you know what? We saw him here first, or the Fantasy Executive Show. For my man LaQuan Jones, is Corey Parson. We are out.